Hey guys, welcome back to Starcast Remarks alongside Chris and James. My name is Ryan. We're the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook, and we appreciate them for being our sponsor as always. We'll go into a little bit of a rant each here this evening a little later, guys. But Stars lose by a final score of 2-1 tonight. Just didn't have it in here because multiple different factors in this game, and I'm sure we'll get into it. We'll talk about the season a little bit as a whole, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about what the off season is going to look like for the podcast and what we will be doing. But who wants to have the floor first and just kind of say your feelings and say your emotions right now?
Yeah, welcome to the best podcast of the year, everyone's favorite, the last one. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start out positive because what a response from Dallas. I mean, the two worst games that they played all playoffs were games 4 and 5, and to come out and to play the way they did and utterly dominate the Edmonton Oilers top down, and I mean, to respond in that way is great, and it shows the grit of this team. And it shows how badly they wanted to win with these guys on the ice. So big props to the response that they gave. It would have been so easy to just roll over and die in game 6. That would have been the easiest thing in the world to do. And that's what everyone expected to happen because it just looked like they were out of gas. It looked like there was nothing left in the tank. That being said, it makes it hurt more. I feel like we were talking about it before in our group chat. Does it hurt more to play this good and lose? Or does it hurt more to just roll over and die? It hurts more to play this good and lose. Stars should have won this game. They were way better than the Edmonton Oilers tonight, and they should have won. And that's all you could say about it. And they couldn't get it done. Their offensive confidence disappeared. No one could get the job done. So there's a lot of good things we can take away from this year, and I'm sure we'll do a series recap on a full hour-long sarcastic remarks at some point here and talk about all the great things that happen and all the great things to look forward to. But the season ends the same way last season ended. 3 straight losses in a conference final, and you lose in game 6. We're in the same spot.
Y'all realize that is the first time in 2 years that this Stars team has lost 3 straight regulation. That's the first time. I couldn't believe it, honestly. I thought for sure we were going to win this one. I had full confidence, even going into the third period down 2-0. I mean, full confidence. We were at least getting the puck to the net. I didn't think we didn't elevate it enough in this series at all in general. But I mean, I really thought we were going to do it after the Marchment 1 went in. It was really, I thought it was that close. And we had a few chances there towards the end, and we just couldn't get it to go in. Had a couple of post-its in this game. I mean, it's very similar story to game 1, except it's the end of the series now.
It really sucks to lose the way that we have. And of the 3 teams we've played, we thought Edmonton was the worst of the 3 teams we have played. And I don't know.
Think that, honestly.
I still think they are.
They played great defensively down the stretch in the final 2 games of this series and the final 3 games of the Canucks series. They lock it down in the third period, and they were able to hold on to them. But
yeah, and the crazy thing,
so much luck that went into some of those games. Some bounces that it's just one the other way, one bounce the other way, and it's done.
In my opinion,
David and Draisaitl just score everything, man.
In my opinion, the big thing that flipped this series on its head is no one even gave a thought that Stuart Skinner would beat Jake Ottinger in this series. And he finishes his final 3 games, he allows 4 goals. And I mean, tonight, you can say he had an easy job in games 4 and 5. Absolutely. Here tonight, he was amazing. I mean, he was fantastic tonight.
I mean, Otter got in trouble twice. There were 2 scoring chances for the Oilers. They sunk both of them. I mean, yes, you got to score more than 1 goal.
100% agree.
2 chances.
But Otter still got beat. And both are true. Both are true.
Yeah.
but Otter got beat still.
Let's
show up and we win the game.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm sorry, Chris. I don't agree with you. I don't think Stuart Skinner was amazing. He was good, and he is an above average goaltender. I'm sorry.
No, he is an above average goaltender, and he played better than Otter this series.
People are talking him up like he was like this world beater. This guy had to be pulled in the second series. I'm sorry, but it's not
in a huge way this series.
No, that's not. He did not respond. It wasn't just him.
Stat that Otter beat him on.
I don't care about the stats. He is lit. And here, I'll pull this up because
quite a statement.
No, it's not a statement, Chris. You're just. I'm sorry. You're flat out wrong. It's not about the goaltending in this series. It is flat out about the team defense. Otter was not bad this series. And
Ryan, I don't agree with you.
No, you don't have to. You can disagree with me or whatever. But the difference in the series is the team defense from the Edmonton Oilers, and we talked about it.
Who won the team defense in this game?
It was the Oilers. The Oilers played a better defensive game than the Stars did.
You can disagree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, the
Stars allowed 10 shots.
They allowed 1 goal.
Okay,
1 goal.
The Stars allowed 10 shots, and that's bad defense.
And there were no high danger scoring chances.
Is that bad defense
enormous
to allow 10 shots the entire game?
It was the Oilers off their back foot. They were off their back foot. On their back foot.
We're gonna have to move.
They were on their back
foot
because statement. No, that is not a crazy statement.
You just said that the Oilers beat the Stars in defense tonight, and they had 10 shots on goal.
They did.
The Stars had 40.
It doesn't. It's not always about shots on goal. No, it does not. They had good defense tonight, and you can disagree with me all you want.
There is no stat that agrees with you tonight.
It doesn't. It's not always about the stats, Chris. It's not always about the stats. You have to trust your eyes.
Definitely help.
No,
everyone else's eyes disagree.
Definitely about the eyes. No,
that's
I'm sorry. You're not.
My eyes disagree with yours.
No, there's Stewart's. I hate that. We're not going to get onto that narrative that Stuart Skinner was this otherworldly beater and that he outdueled Ottinger. That's not the case. No, he did not.
I'm not saying he outdueled him, but he beat him
3 games.
In multiple games.
No,
he beat him.
Did
Otter
not
had
beat
Otter
him.
had the easier job and he lost. He had the easier job and lost.
No, he did not.
Yes.
In this
Otter
game,
faced 10 shots.
Otter had a harder job than Stuart Skinner.
I didn't say in this game. I said in the series.
That's what we're asking.
I'm talking about in the game.
No. Okay. In the game, I don't care either way, but I still don't agree with you.
Move on.
Stuart Skinner had it easy.
Move on. We're not talking about goalies anymore. Move on.
Yeah, and I'm telling y'all can look at the chat and people are agreeing with me.
We're not talking about goalies anymore. Move on.
I guess we do need to move on though. The other things about this series that we could talk about, and another huge thing is goaltending is not the big thing that everyone's going to be talking about with this series, guys, but it's special teams. I mean, the Oilers coming into this series, they finished with 28 straight killed on the penalty kill,
and 4 straight power play goals. Is that true?
Not 4 straight. I think they were 4 for 5.
4 for 5
in the last 2 games.
That's in the last 3 games, every single game-winning goal for them was a special teams goal. They had a shorthanded one. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean that's the difference in the series.
And
Dallas played way better 5-on-5 in the game today. They played 5-on-5 generally in the series. They just couldn't score a goal 5-on-5. And when they were given opportunities on the power play, they didn't do it. They didn't take advantage of it.
And 0 adjustment from the coaching staff from game 1 to game 6 on anything special teams, which is utterly shocking. We brought Steve Spott in, and I know he's Pete DeBoer's guy, but he's the special teams coach. If there is not a huge question mark on that position right now, it's wrong. I mean, I know there's a big emotional connection between him and Pete DeBoer, but you can't do that. You can't go 6 games against the Edmonton Oilers and not score a power play goal. I mean, you can't do that and keep your job, in my opinion. I don't think he'll be fired. I think he'll move. to a different spot on the team, but some other coach is going to be on special teams next year.
And that special
Or
teams is
should.
kind of an easy battle where you can say Skinner easily beat Otter. 5-on-4 penalty kill. Skinner was spectacular on their penalty kill for the most part. I mean, he had some really big saves. There were breakdowns that the Oilers had at times, and we just couldn't get it behind him. I mean, and it felt like every mistake we made on the penalty kill ended up in the back of our net. And that's where my frustration. But that's where my frustration.
Don't do it, James.
Like the penalty kill in general, with the penalty kill in general, comes from. I mean, you can only give up so many chances in a game. I felt like we gave up basically nothing, and we still lose.
Okay, so for those of you that are asking questions about how the special teams works for the Stars, Pete DeBoer does not run the power play or the penalty kill. He has the general philosophy of how the team plays. Steve Spott runs the power play. Elaine Nazardine runs the penalty kill. So here's the other thing. I'm just going to flat out say right off the bat. I don't agree with you, Chris, on the firing of Steve Spott. That is an emotional response at a time where we're at right now.
Stats too. It's over 16 against the Edmonton Oilers.
In the one series, you look at every other thing
series,
and that's fair to say, but that's not fair to say that you just should fire him just based off of his play.
I'm not saying based off his play. I'm saying it's based off of not being able to make an adjustment over a 6-game series.
If this was a numerous thing that happened over multiple years and for some reason we couldn't get past the Western Conference Final, then I would agree with you.
I don't want to wait to see it next year.
Well, he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to be fired.
I agree,
but nor should he be fired, in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's an emotional response. I really think that what we have to do is we have to give credit to where credit's due, and that's to the Oilers. They were the better team in the series, and they got out, and the Stars got out coached. They
were better on the special teams. 5-on-5. I mean, we could have killed this team if we could have at least evened on special teams, which our team should have been able to do. I mean, honestly, getting no power play goals out of like 20 chances, and in almost any one of those games that you get one, it's the difference in the game. That's terrible. You have to score one. That's more on the top guys than anything.
And I just don't. Yes, everything you said is true, James. It throughout the series, throughout the playoffs, the frustrating thing was the special teams. Just could not take advantage of it this series. And like you said, James, if you get like 1 or 2 goals on the power play, even just 1 or 2 out of the 20 opportunities that we have, maybe this is a different series and this could change. But again, we're asking all the what ifs. What if this? What if that? You just have to take advantage when you can.
I'm going to open another can of worms.
Go for it.
The way that this series was officiated completely changed after Game 3 when the Oilers coach made one offhanded comment about the officiating. And that's wrong. I mean, it's incorrect. If you watch this game, the Stars had one more power play in this game than the Oilers. Not that it would have mattered. Our power play sucked. But the fact that the Stars had one more power play when you watch this game, McDavid just grabbed the puck and threw it out of the zone at the end of the game. I mean, Stegman got a forearm into his literal face. Pavelski was high-sticked 4 times. You look at the end of the game, the 4-man scrum in the corner, there was 7 cross-checks on that one
McDavid
play.
had about half of them.
And the way that this series was called and how it was changed after one comment by the Oilers coach is ridiculous. I mean, it's horrible that the NHL is able to be swayed that easily. It's stupid. And honestly, in hindsight, DeBoer should have made a comment in the other direction after Game 5 on the same thing. If he should have made a bigger one. I mean, it's that easy for the Oilers to change how this series was officiated, but I guess not for the Stars.
Yeah,
and now, not like it mattered. The Stars had no power play goals, so it doesn't even matter in hindsight. I'm just pissed off that the refs can be swayed so easily. I think that's a horrible look for the NHL.
Penalties end up even in almost the rest of the series. The penalties were even after the Stars had were
with the
very
team-
disciplined and did very well the first 2 games.
with the second least penalized team in the league, and what were they, the 10th most penalized team in the league? Something like that. That's close. That's ridiculous. It's garbage, especially in this game 6 when the Stars dominated the entire game. To get one more penalty is,
And only because
I'll
there's too many
state
men.
for all the fans, asinine.
Too many men, add puck over the glass, by the way. That
Yeah.
was 2 of the calls.
Two
that
penalties that you have
make.
to call. And then the 2 that the Stars get are garbage. Those are terrible
They were
calls.
Terrible calls. You
That
gotta
is
kill
horrible.
one though. like
And they
man,
score
you
on
gotta
those.
kill one. Yeah,
You gotta kill
kill
one.
one.
You have to kill one, and you didn't kill
didn't-
any.
You didn't get a save on either of them either.
And but the McDavid one.
Game.
Yeah, which one do you wanna say?
The David was
Second
fair.
strike.
McDavided, and then the Stars just let Hyman score. I mean, I don't. You want to save there? I know what you're saying. You gotta find a save, but that sucks. I mean,
I'm sorry. It's just a non-factor for me. I just don't care.
it is a factor though. It changes the momentum of how the game happened. If the Stars get 6 power plays tonight, they're gonna score one. The power play looked better. It did. They were gonna score one if they got a ton of chances like they should have. But yeah, overall, you're right. They didn't score any power play goals, so who am I to boo-hoo about it? I'm going to boo-hoo about it, though, because it looks bad on the NHL to get swayed that easily. That's stupid.
My thing is kill it off. Kill it off, and it's a non-factor. And because you
They
didn't
kill it off, but they McDavided. McDavid won the game for them because he got 2 power plays. And they were terrible calls. It's stupid. You're right, you should kill it off. But it's still wrong that those calls were made.
Okay. Another thing I did want to talk about is just the lack of some of the Stars players, and especially their veterans, that they really needed to be difference makers in the series just didn't show up. And
yeah,
we talk about, well, Chris, go ahead. You've already got thoughts in your head.
The best line all series was Stankoven and Johnston. How?
And Ben.
How? I mean, that can't happen. You got all these guys getting paid millions of dollars, and Stankoven and Johnston are getting paid $1.5 million combined, and they're your most. They swayed the game the most. They turned the tide in this series in each game. Whenever we needed a big shift, that was the line that did it, and that shouldn't happen. I mean, your youngest guys shouldn't be the ones leading the charge here, and they were. And Johnson led the charge in the first 2 series too with his clutch goals. I mean, that shouldn't happen. I mean, I'm glad he did that. I mean, we're going to talk about in the season review on another episode about how great that is for the future of this team. But for this playoff series, that wasn't the time for it to happen. I mean, so many other people should have led this team in that department.
Yeah, I mean, Wyatt Johnson was far and away the best player the entire postseason.
Yep.
I still, we had glimpses of some of our best players in.
Yeah,
even in this series, like we saw Robertson. We saw when Hintz came back into the lineup, that really sparked Robertson. Robertson gets the hat tricking in game 3, I think it was.
That's the only game he did anything.
And Sagan 2-goal game, and
Rope and lost the game.
And Rope with that fantastic game when Robertson scored those 3 goals. He played amazing. You saw flashes. That's all you got.
You can't have flashes.
Yeah,
Flashing's legal.
this.
Can't flash people.
Okay, Chris, that was perfect. That was very good. But yeah, anyways, he's not the only one, and we'll mention the big one here at the end of this. But another one I want to talk about is Duchesne. Duchesne, we relied upon him, especially at the beginning of the season. We even talked about him at the beginning of the season, him possibly being the MVP of the regular season with the way that he was playing, especially in like December, January. We were talking about how great he was doing, and he just literally just kind of fell off, ran out of gas. So that's another player that we really needed to see something out of here.
Another guy who had an individual game. I mean, that overtime winner in game 6 against Colorado, that's going to live in Stars highlights forever. But he had 1 or 2 good games.
And then we got to talk about the big one. Joe Pavelski. He had a good game tonight.
He played amazing. He played so good tonight. He put himself back on the first line. He forced himself back on the first line because he was playing so great. And he should have scored a goal with some amazing deflections. He had 3 awesome deflections and in the slot. That sucks. I mean, the fact that we don't win the cup for Pavelski there is really what hurts the most about this season. I mean, most everyone else has a chance to come back and to play for it again. But I mean, when you see the postseason that Pavs had, he might come back still. It's not going to be in the same way. He's not going to be a first line winger for the Stars. He's not going to be a top point producer the way he was. And that's what sucks the most about this postseason, really, is that you don't get something there for Pavs, who is, I mean, I know he's going to be remembered as a Shark, but like the impact he had on this organization is incredible. And the fact that he chose the Stars over the Lightning, who go on to win. And that's what hurts a lot, is that you're not able to get the cup for a guy that really deserves it, like Pavs. And I hope he's able to come back and the Stars are able to get him what he deserves. And he deserves to lift the cup more than probably anybody else in this league. So, man, I hope he comes back, and I hope he proves me wrong from saying this. Yeah, but I mean, that's the guy that deserves it more than anybody else in this hockey team right now. And it hurts a lot that he doesn't get it there.
Yeah, and it sucks even more because like you said, I mean, he's been a great point producer on this team. He's been ridiculous. You know,
more than anyone expected.
Yeah. You know who he's put under his wing, though? He's put Jason Robertson under his wing the first 2 years. You know who he did the last 2 years? Wyatt Johnston. Those are two best players on our team. Easily, far and away.
They're going to be the next two best players for forever.
And they've been directly under him the whole time.
I hope you, those of you that you can hear the emotion that Chris has just for talking about Joe Pavelski right now. That's it's taking me everything right now not to do the same thing and get choked up about it. I hate to say this, and I hate to expect this to happen. I think Joe Pavelski is done. If you look at his face when the final buzzer rang, that right there said it to me. And that really, really hurts. It breaks me down, and it pulls at my heartstrings to even think that Joe Pavelski, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind that he's one of the greatest American players of all time, and he's not going to get a cup. That really sucks. He might get one in management somewhere or somewhere else, but it just really sucks to think that and expect that he's done. I just can't see it, especially after this playoff run. He was basically a non-factor for 95% of the run. When you look at the players that are coming up, basically his spot in the lineup is Maverick Bork's spot. I mean, if I'm being completely honest there, that Maverick Bork is probably going to, just because of his age, because of his contract, and because of he deserves that roster spot. I think he has played Joe Pavelski out of the Dallas Stars organization, maybe even out of the league.
Well, and Bork playing this game is awesome too, because I mean, when you look at what's going to happen next season and how the Stars are going to look, even before we see any movement, the Stars are going to look fantastic. And we're going to talk about that a ton on the next show when we do our season review, series preview stuff. It is so exciting to be a Stars fan right now, because this sucks. I mean, there's not much worse than this right now. But when you look at what is ahead for the Dallas Stars, there is nothing but bright light. I mean, it looks amazing in the future. So this is awful, but we can expect to be in this position and further than this position for years to come right now, for many different reasons, from nil to Pavs, even like James said, setting the table for some of our stars. This hockey team is going to be good for a long time, and that's super exciting.
we can talk about numerous offseason things later, guys, but let's focus on the game here just as we kind of start thinking about wrapping this up a little bit. Is there anything in the game that we really need to make mention of, or anything in the playoffs that we really need to make mention of?
I mean, I'm sure I'll think of something later, but all I can think about now is I'm happy that the Stars responded in such a huge way. I mean, that shows the heart and how much they wanted to win this thing. And it was a great response, and they should have won, and they couldn't execute when they needed to. And that was this game. They got beat by McDavid. He did it.
James, final thoughts just overall before biggest winner, biggest loser?
I mean, that you got, when you're playing against these teams, you got to shut down their top stars. And the Stars did a good job of it in the Avalanche series. They just couldn't do it in this series. I mean, it's the power play, yes, but I mean, even 5-on-5, they let McDavid, Draisaitl walk all over them for the most part. I mean, that is something that they did an excellent job of during the regular season, not letting those players beat them, make the other players beat them, and they let them loose. And you let them loose, they're gonna beat you.
Yep.
My final thoughts, and I'm with you, Chris, on just this is very different than like if we had a bunch of veterans and this was like their final shot. If we were like the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Capitals or, you know, one of these aging out teams that, you know, there's no future. It looks like that there is absolutely a future with this team. We've barely seen a scratch on the surface with Maverick Bourque. We haven't seen Liam Bichsel at all in a Dallas Stars uniform yet, at least in the regular season yet. I think he played some preseason games, but he's probably going to be almost a shoe-in for pencil in the lineup for next season. You've still got Robertson, you still got Hintz, you still got Ben. Ben is still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Sagan's still going to still be around. There's lots of other guys that are still going to be here. It just really sucks right now, and it hurts. It's an emotional thing. It always sucks to get out of the playoffs like this, but it hurts even more when you make a deep run like this and you are literally the last team to be eliminated before the Stanley Cup Final. I think that's just kind of where we're at this point. And I hate to say it because it sucks, but there's always next year. And here this will make us this will make everyone feel better. You know who we're not? At least we're not the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ryan's favorite team.
Oh goodness. Real quick thought before biggest winner, biggest loser. Does Edmonton even stand a chance against Florida?
No, I think the Stars lost this series more than Edmonton wins. Oilers fans are going to, go ahead and clip this when y'all win the cup and throw it on your victory videos because it would be a great clip. Stuart Skinner's not going to do the same thing he did to the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are not going to score 0 power play goals. I don't think the Oilers stand a chance. I'm going to say Florida in 5 for that one.
No, I don't know about 5.
I'm saying 5. It would help my heart.
The Florida Panthers are going to try and suffocate this team. And they're going to be able to do it a lot better than the Stars team even had a chance to when the series started. But they just got to do it to 2 people, and that's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They hold on to those 2 dudes. Their team's done, Ryan.
That's a huge ask. The 2 best players in the league by a mile.
But even if you hold them both to like 1 point a game, you're going to win.
That's true.
They have to get 2 or 3 points in every game to win. And credit to them, they have had a freaking run, dude. I mean, they have like what 20. McDavid has another 30-point postseason. That's ridiculous. There's only been a handful of people to ever do that, and he's had to do that to get to where he is. He's not even done yet. He has 4 more wins to go to win the whole thing.
He's literally having Gretzky numbers right now. Like everyone's just talking about Gretzky's numbers are untouchable, never going to happen again. He's doing it. He's still young.
I just don't see how Edmonton wins the series against Florida. But you know what? I also said the same thing. I said the same thing against us. And So I mean, I'm
anyone
not
can
going
do
to
it.
discount them out. I'm not going to discount them out because they literally have the 2 best players in the world.
And who knows what happens whenever McDavid and Draisaitl actually do get a real sniff at the cup for the first time in their careers. That could be crazy.
And we'll unfortunately get to see that next Saturday when the Oilers are going to go against the Panthers.
Wait, they're not playing till Saturday?
They're not playing till Saturday. That's crazy. I know.
Terrible.
Multiple 2-day breaks as well. Very
well, actually, who gets home ice advantage? Is it Florida? I think Florida gets home ice advantage, right?
I think, yeah, they won their division.
So, okay. So it'll be in Florida for game 1 there, but okay, guys, let's end it up for the last after game review of the season. Biggest winner, biggest loser. Who you got?
I want to do a biggest loser first. I want to talk about someone who's had a great season and did great defensively, but that's not what he did in the regular season. I want to talk about Thomas Harley because, dude, what a ridiculous year he had. What a breakout year for him.
Amazing year.
He had like 14 goals, 14 or 16. I can't remember exactly which, but I mean, he's just out of his mind. It felt like he was seamless all year long. And in the playoffs, that disappeared in his own end. I mean, the only time he got it out of his own end was when he passed to his other D partner or when he skated it out. He couldn't outlet pass to save his life all series long, all playoffs long. He's one of the few people to not score a goal on this team, and that's just not something that we saw from him at all. He's very timid. I understand it's his first postseason run, really. He's very timid. Yeah. And that killer instinct from him never showed up. I mean, and that's just it's I expected more from him. Yeah. And he played great defensively. He filled the hole that we absolutely had to have in the offseason this year. Had a great regular season.
Yeah.
Playoffs, different story completely.
And the difference between his playoffs last year and this year is his role is totally different. Last year, if he could skate backwards and not fall down, we were excited. And that's what he was at. And going into this playoffs, I mean, and this is credit to his regular season this year. He was the Stars' number 2 defenseman. I mean, to go from the barely number 6 to the number 2 guy is great. And this was his first playoffs being a guy that the Stars counted on and needed.
And they counted on him.
He still played, like you said, James, defensively. I think he still played really well for his role. You got to remember how young he still is. His first full season was this year. This is a fantastic learning experience for Harley. I agree with you. A biggest loser, I think, is pretty fair, but he's in a great spot. I think he's in a really good spot for moving forward.
He really is. It's just the killer instinct that we saw from him earlier in the year. I think back to the back-to-back overtime winners that he had. I mean, that type of thing where you see that and you're like, oh, he can score. And like he crashed the net and it never happened again. And I get it. Defense first in playoffs and you're trying to stay back. That he completely left out an entire other side to his game that he used effectively in the regular season.
Yep. I'll stick with biggest loser for now. I like ending on a positive note. That's a good idea, James. I'm going to say Rope Hintz, but just because he got hurt. And I'm going to flip this and I'm going to make this a biggest winner for the Stars. What other team in the NHL loses their number 1 center and is still able to fight their way to the conference final and have a dang good chance at going to the Stanley Cup final while their number 1 center is injured? I mean, I can't think of another team other than the Dallas Stars. I mean,
that was something that was completely underplayed in the Avalanche series. Like, yes, Nichushkin went out. That was the storyline. Hintz went out that same game and didn't come back.
Exactly. And the Stars were able to take care of business easily against the Avalanche, even with Rope out. And we're able to get a game without Rope in the beginning of this series, too. So Rope Hintz getting hurt, I think, has a huge impact on this series specifically. And I think if he was playing healthy, it would have been a much different story. Everyone's talking about how he didn't have a lot of shots. I wonder why. He's probably got a wrist or shoulder injury that's making it hard to shoot. So, Rope Hintz.
My biggest loser tonight is just going to be the special teams. The last 2 games, that was the difference. That really was the
3.
difference.
Last
So
3.
and that's fair. That's fair. The last 3, just because the Stars could not, as in all 3 games, could not score on the power play. And then for the last 2 games, the Oilers' power play was the only difference. So that's biggest loser for me. My biggest winner is going to be really hard for me to get over. So, Chris, who's your biggest winner?
I mean, it makes no sense, but Joe Pavelski, he's a huge impact on this team. It's going to be evident moving forward, even if he doesn't play for this team ever again. Like James said, being able to take Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston and turn them into superstars for this hockey team, you're going to be able to turn around and point to Joe Pavelski for that. And he's not going to be, when he retires, he's not going to be retiring as a star. He'll retire as a Shark. But, I mean, his impact on this hockey club is going to be evident and obvious. And it'll hopefully be evident and obvious in the rafters.
There's 2 things that he did. Or the best part of his game was his tipping. And he taught that to both of our best players on our team right now. He taught that to Robertson, and he taught that to Johnston. Those 2.
Johnston's last goal is a great deflection.
I mean, how do you even think of doing that? That is not something that Johnston was doing when he came into the league. It wasn't. He learned that from Joe.
James.
My biggest winner is Jamie Benn. Dude.
Oh, my God.
Absolute freaking beast in the playoffs. He's...
Never had an off shift. Never had an off shift.
Not one.
No, he was freaking amazing. Anytime that someone tried to rock our 5'9" rookie Logan Stankoven, he comes out there and just
that's
blows
being
up the
generous, James. He's 5'7", I
5'9".
think.
Whatever.
I think he's 5'7".
It's just he was the embodiment of Jamie Benn for the entire playoffs, and you can't ask for more. He's 1 point behind, tied for first on our team over the entire postseason. By the way, he gets 1 more point. There's 4 people tied for first place on our team with points. They all have 16. That's ridiculous. But Jamie Benn is just a monster all postseason. I mean, the last stretch of the year, even he was, you could tell he wanted it badly, and he tried his absolute hardest.
Yep. And his ability to learn from last season, especially, is my biggest thing. I mean, he rode the line perfectly between skill play and aggression and playoff hockey. He rode that line perfectly through 3 series. And like Ryan said, there was not one shift where I said, Jamie looked bad there. There was never one. He was on game 1 to game 6, round 3. He was fantastic. Without a doubt, I mean, if you just want to look at each shift and who played the most shifts well, that was Jamie Benn for sure.
Okay, my turn. This one's going to be hard for me to get out. It's my turn now, Chris. Biggest winner is Joe Pavelski. Yeah, we talked about how rough he's been in the postseason, and he really showed up. It wasn't until the end here, but just that's probably his last NHL game, and it really hurts to hear. Here's a tweet from Leah, who, by the way, Leah of the Dallas Morning News, she's gone through so much travel crap lately, and she's been excellent. She's basically the only person covering the Stars, full time right now. All 3 players we spoke to tonight, Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, and Wyatt Johnston, got choked up when asked about Joe Pavelski and the impact he's had on the group. It's very possible his NHL career came to an end at Rogers Place this evening. He came in here, he made this team that much better. Gruntled vet, gray-bearded vets at this point. I know he's not really, but that's just the feeling that I got all the time watching him. The thing about this also is not the fact that he was just a great player for the Stars, but his character 100% matches exactly what Jim Nill wanted for this team, and he got it. He got it 100% from this guy, and this guy has done so much for this organization, so much for the team, for his teammates. And I really hate to think and expect that was his last game as a member of the Dallas Stars or as on an NHL team, period. So I hope I'm wrong and he comes back for one more season, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. We could keep going on for another hour or so, but I think this is a good stopping point. Anything else we need to mention tonight?
I love the Stars. I'll be a Stars fan forever.
As much as I hate this team, I love this team too. It's going to be a rough couple of days. We'll look back on this and we'll realize how lucky we are that we were even able to go this far. There's not many teams that get to go this far, and there's 29 other teams that would have loved to be in our situation where we are right now. So anyways, for us, we're not going anywhere, obviously. The content is not going to stop. It's going to be a little bit of a lesser workload for us as we get into the off season here, but we'll probably do a preview for the Stanley Cup Final. We'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll probably be going to, at the very least, once a week episodes. Not sure when we'll do those, but we'll try to keep those consistent as we go off. But don't worry, we're not going anywhere. This is not the end of us or this community. But before we go on, we do just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys. I never would have thought that when we decided to start this podcast in August of 2020, when the world was really, really bad and it was just the way that it was, I never expected that we would be where we are now. 4 years later, we've got 2 Western Conference Finals runs. There's hundreds of people who are listening to our episodes now, thousands. We're getting up to that point. It's just fantastic to think that a couple of boys from, outside of Dallas, Texas, who should be talking about, football, are talking about hockey, and and y'all have helped us create this amazing community that we have. Absolutely love every single one of y'all.
It's just special thanks to especially those people who come into these live chats and talk in the chat over here. I mean, that is some of the most fun that I had this year, was looking at the chat, starting the Discord especially, and looking at that during games and seeing how people are reacting, seeing how they're feeling. That was really special to me this year. Yeah, I mean, it was great. It's great to have our own little corner of the world that we can all watch Stars hockey and be emotional over it together. I mean, that's something that's kind of strange to most people. You're watching, it's a sport, you're watching your sports team. Like,
it's a sport.
Not a big
it's
deal
a game.
To a lot of people. Yeah, it's a game. It's just a game. And all the people here, it just means so much to all of us, and just interacting with us has been something really special for me.
And the cool thing is, y'all are watching what we would do anyway. I mean, what we would do is we'd watch a Stars game. We'd go into the game would end. We'd all go into the kitchen, get some food, talk about the game we just watched. And I guess we're going to need a bigger kitchen because we got a lot of people that we're talking about the game with now, and it's a lot more fun. So thank y'all for letting us do this, and y'all watching lets us be able to put on this podcast for free, and then get even a little bit sprinkled on top. So it's so much fun for us to do this. I mean, it's stuff we do anyway, and now we get to do it when we're all in different cities, and we get to bring all of y'all along in the same kitchen to talk about the games every single night. And I can't imagine when I'm going to stop doing this. I can't foresee any reason why I would, because it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, just for us personally, even, this is something that I have never missed, because when I left home, I started doing this. I mean, it's so much fun to do.
And by the way, we talked about the community, but I do want to say something to both to Chris and James specifically. I hope y'all know how much I love you. I had an ulterior motive when I started this podcast. moving out to West Texas was very hard on my family, particularly, and it hit some of us more in other ways. But you know, I really missed being able to talk to you guys, and making this podcast gave me that opportunity, and now I don't have to worry about that anymore. We're moving back to the Dallas area. I get to see you guys more often. I have some special little things that we're going to talk about off air here in a second that they don't even know about yet. So we'll make that announcement later on when it's time, when it's ready. But I thank you guys for doing this with me. I love you both so much. I love this community so much. Y'all have been a huge asset to being able to do this. So thank you.
Yeah. And since we're patting everybody's back, thanks to Ryan, who actually does all the work for this podcast.
All the editing, all the posting, everything. He does the Twitter, everything, all of it.
Me and James show up and we talk and we do the fun part. Ryan does all the hard work of putting the website together, getting the episodes uploaded onto podcasts, getting all the live stuff set up, even doing the business calls with the businessy people. Ryan does all that stuff, and we shout him out, but we should shout him out more because he does the hard work.
Yep. Well, I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all. But okay, it's time. It's time to log it off. So thank you guys for listening. We've had 190 people listening live here tonight in the last AGR of the season. There's even more of you that are listening afterwards. We appreciate you as always. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook for everything. Go and check out sarcasticremarks.com. It's the website where you can check it out, the episodes for the first time. It's the fastest way to see it. Please consider leaving us a review anywhere you listen to your podcasts. 5-star review would be great. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else, please consider liking, subscribing, follow us on social media as always. And there was a question earlier that was asked, how much has this podcast grown over this year? Just to give you an idea, we do podcasts by downloads, right? Okay, so that's the general way of doing it. The beginning of the season, we had about 150 to 170. That was generally where we were at. At the end of this playoff run, we're doing over 400 to 500 on some of these episodes, guys. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Alongside Chris, alongside James, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. I don't care. Chris, can you do us a favor and take us out?
Love the stars. GG, boys.